Hey class, we are back to the Renaissance today after taking a turn left to the Middle Ages, back to the Middle Ages for a minute with William Wallace, but we're back to the Renaissance and we are talking about Johannes Gutenberg and the printing press today. And the printing press was considered the most important invention of modern times. And the reason being, it helped, without it, the Renaissance wouldn't have happened, the scientific revolution wouldn't have happened, and it was able to produce books in a large amount of books, and people were able to read these books. And the Renaissance was all about culture. It was all about humanism and being educated. So, which is something totally different from what the Middle Ages was, which was hard work and war. So, it helped. Without the printing press, it would not the Renaissance would not have took off, and neither would the scientific revolution. And Johannes Gutenberg is the man who invented the printing press. So that's what we're talking about today. All right, hold on a second, y'all. Let me turn this volume up, make sure y'all can hear everything. All right, here we go. Like I said, Johannes Gutenberg introduced the concept of movable type and the printing press to Europe. If you look right here, this is the printing press. It looks very complicated. Mr. Sean probably wouldn't know how to use that. I'd have to be shown how to use it. But it looks very complicated. And like I said, it's considered the most important invention in modern times. And if you think about that, that's about right, because without books, without computers, you wouldn't be able to learn to pass on information or share scientific discoveries. And this was the start of books, okay? Because before then, it had to handwrite everything, and you couldn't handwrite in mass production like you could with this printing press. Here we go.
Biography. Johannes Gutenberg introduced the concept of movable type and the printing press to Europe. While this may not sound like a big deal at first, the printing press is often considered as the most important invention in modern times. Think about how important information is today. Without books and computers, you wouldn't be able to learn, to pass on information, or to share scientific discoveries.
All right, so like I said, prior to Gutenberg introducing the printing press, making a book was really a laborious process. All right, everything was handwritten. All right, everything. All right, it wasn't that hard to write a letter, but writing a book with thousands of pages like the Bible, which he produced, all right, would take years. All right, but when the printing press was done, you could create thousands of books for many people to read. And before that, it was almost impossible.
Biography continued. Prior to Gutenberg introducing the printing press, making a book was a laborious process in Europe. It wasn't that hard to write a letter to one person by hand, but to create thousands of books for many people to read was nearly impossible.
And like I said earlier, without the printing press, we would not have had the scientific revolution or the Renaissance. All right, our world would be very different. If you look here, here's several different things that go along with the scientific revolution. You had Isaac Newton, you had Galileo, you had several different things that was going on. Leonardo da Vinci and his scientific discoveries. So, but without the printing press, you would not have had the scientific revolution or the Renaissance.
Without the printing press, we wouldn't have had the scientific revolution or the Renaissance. Our world would be very different.
All right, so Johannes Gutenberg was born in Germany, Mainz, Germany. All right, not a lot is known about his childhood. They do know that his father was a goldsmith, but and that he moved around a few times. But other than that, they don't really know a lot about his childhood. A lot like William Wallace. William Wallace, we didn't know a whole lot about his childhood either when we talked about him the other day. They didn't even know his date of birth, or what year he was born in. But at least with Johannes Gutenberg, they know he was born in 1398 in Mainz, Germany.
Where did Gutenberg grow up? Johannes was born in Mainz, Germany around the year 1398. He was the son of a goldsmith. Not a whole lot more is known about his childhood. It appears he moved a few times around Germany, but that's about all is known for sure.
All right. So how did he invent this printing press? All right. He invented it in the year 1450. Year 1450. He took some existing technology and put with his own ideas to create the printing press. And one thing that he did that before they used, they might handwrite a lot of stuff. They had some kind of printing press that was, or print, they did hand print anyway, that was wooden. All right. They had wooden blocks they'd press ink onto sometimes. All right. Well, he took that with his printing press and moved metal pieces in place of that, and he could do it more quickly when he pressed the print onto the pages. So remember, he invented this printing press in 1450, and he took some existing technology with some of his own ideas to come up with the invention.
What did Gutenberg invent? Gutenberg took some existing technologies and some of his own inventions to come up with the printing press in the year 1450. One key idea he came up with was a movable type. Rather than using wooden blocks to press ink onto paper, Gutenberg used movable metal pieces to quickly create pages.
All right. And if you look here, this is one of the things that he's most famous for creating. All right. Aside from the printing press, he created or made the Gutenberg Bible. All right. And his press could print thousands of pages a day versus only 40 to 50 handwritten pages. So it improved everything. It allowed books to be acquired by the middle class, which was something that it was the first time in European history for that to be able to happen. Before this Bible came out too, the church were the only people that had access to the Bible. So he wound up in printing the Bible, or the Gutenberg Bible, which, by the way, coincidentally, there's only about 4 left, and it's worth about $30 million. So if you find one, you let me know. All right, I want to know. All right. So I'm in with you if you find one. So anyway, this it could print the Bible the printing press allowed him to print thousands of pages a day versus only 40 to 50 pages.
Gutenberg inventions. Gutenberg introduced innovations all the way through the printing process, enabling pages to be printed much more rapidly. His presses could print thousands of pages per day versus only 40 to 50 pages with the old method. This was a dramatic improvement and allowed books to be acquired by the middle class for the first time in the history of Europe.
All right, so like I said, his real fame came from producing the Gutenberg Bible. There's 4 still left in existence. They're worth about $30 million a piece. All right. So it's the first time the Bible was mass produced and available for anybody outside the church. All right. And the priests, sometimes they'll take for them a year to transcribe the Bible themselves. But Gutenberg had 200 Bibles printed in a relatively short time.
Most famous books. Gutenberg's real fame came from producing the Gutenberg Bible. It was the first time a Bible was mass produced and available for anyone outside of the church. Bibles were rare and could take up to a year for a priest to transcribe. Gutenberg printed around 200 Bibles in a relatively short time.
All right. We got our comprehension questions. I'm going to go over them with you, but then I want you to go back into the Google Slides, and I want you to answer them yourself after this. What is considered the most important invention of modern times? Was it A, the printing press, B, the cell phone, or C, the TV? It was the printing press. It allowed people to have access to books.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
And in return, it made the Italian Renaissance spread into the European Renaissance because of this. All right, number 2, what would not have started without the printing press? A, the Middle Ages, B, the scientific revolution and the Renaissance, or C, nothing? It was B, the scientific revolution and the Renaissance. It would not have started without the printing press.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
People would not have had access to the information they sought without the printing press. because it's just impossible to make that many books by hand. Number 3, where was Gutenberg born? Was he born in A, North Carolina, B, Germany or Mainz, Germany, or C, Scotland? He was born in Germany, Mainz, Germany. Gutenberg is a German name.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
He was not born in North Carolina, and our friend William Wallace was born in Scotland, elderly Scotland. So it was Germany is where Gutenberg was born. Number 4, what year was the printing press invented? Was it A, this year, 2020, B, 1776, or C, 1450? It was 1450 when he invented it.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
He took some old technology and mixed with his own technology, and that's how he created it in the year 1450. And number 5, what did Gutenberg really become famous for? A, printing the Bible, B, writing Dr. Seuss books, or C, rebelling against England. Printing the Bible is what he really became famous for, because he printed over 200 Bibles at one time in a relatively short period of time, and it gave access to people outside of the church, access to the Bible outside the church. So that's what he's famous for.
Ding, ding, ding. We have a winner.
All right, class. That's all for today. I will have more next week. So you have a good day. You go back and do the Google Slides, watch the videos on Gutenberg, and I will see you next week. All right. Have a good day.